you emerge into the brilliant, unforgiving light of the Egyptian world. Born in the grand city of Tanis, sometime between 1090 and 1060 BCE, a cry, small yet powerful, echoes through the heavily perfumed chambers of the royal palace. You have, by the sheerest luck of the cosmos, hit the jackpot. While the overwhelming majority of newborns in the sprawling two lands of Egypt are immediately destined for a grueling existence, a life of sun-baked toil in the fields, backbreaking quarry labor, or a constant, desperate struggle for mere survival, you are immediately swathed in the finest linen, for you are born into the royal family. A chorus of celebratory noise erupts throughout the palace. The news of your arrival is not merely an announcement, it is an affair of state. The atmosphere is thick with the scent of burning frankincense and expensive oils. Priests, their heads freshly shaven and robes immaculate, solemnly fill the nursery, their voices rising in deep, resonant chants that invoke the blessings of the great gods, Ra and Amun-Ra. Offerings of bread, beer, and priceless lapis lazuli are laid out on temporary altars, a ritualistic welcoming of your divine soul into this earthly kingdom. Congratulations, kiddo. The gods, it seems, have chosen to smile upon you with extraordinary favor, at least for now. Your mother, the queen, a woman whose life is a relentless cycle of state dinners, diplomatic receptions, and complex religious duties, barely has a moment to hold you. The notion of her handling the mundane, often messy realities of a royal infant, such as the endless changing of diapers, is an absurd one. You are immediately, and quite formally, handed off to a team of carefully selected wet nurses who become your primary caregivers. They are the ones who do all the genuine, day-to-day parenting, their gentle hands and soft lullabies, the only constant presence in your earliest days. For all you know, in the dim, comfortable haze of infancy, one of the palace maids is your actual, biological mother. As you grow from a squalling baby to a toddling prince, you begin to grasp a fundamental, chilly truth. Being royal doesn't automatically make you special, not in the way a single, cherished child might be. Your father, the Pharaoh, a figure of godlike authority who moves through the palace like a living statue, maintains a sprawling harem of wives, and these women, under the relentless imperative to secure their own positions and produce heirs, have been exceedingly busy. A little over a year after your celebrated birth, another baby boy arrives, announced by the same fanfare and offerings, and just yesterday, to the polite surprise of the court, a third, yet another healthy son. Different mothers, yes, but the same all-powerful Pharaoh. This brings you face to face with the sharp, merciless catch of royal life. It's not just about luxury and endless feasts. It is, at its core, a brutal, high-stakes competition. Every well-mannered greeting, every religious recital, every athletic contest is an audition for the single most coveted role in all of Egypt, the future Pharaoh. And as the third-born son, your chances of seizing that ultimate prize aren't looking great. You've got two older, more established brothers ahead of you in the line of succession, two young men who already view you with a chilling, thinly veiled antagonism. Spoiler alert, they absolutely do not like you. By the time you hit 4 years old, the pampering abruptly ceases. You are ceremonially shipped off to the School of Princes, an institution that is less a school and more a miniature, highly disciplined military academy. Playtime? You've genuinely never heard of the concept. While other children in the city of Tanis are outside, happily messing around with carved wooden toys, chasing dogs, or splashing in the Nile, your days are spent indoors. You are mercilessly drowning in an endless curriculum of mathematics, the complex curves of the hieroglyphic language, detailed history of the pharaonic dynasties, and the intricate principles of geometry required for monument building. This is essentially every subject modern high schoolers still struggle with, compressed into the formative years of childhood. But for you, there are no tired sighs or excuses. You are a royal prince, which means everyone, from your tutors to the lowest servant, expects nothing less than genius. When you reach the age of 14, your education levels up to the real, deadly deal. The scrolls detailing arithmetic are replaced by treatises on military strategy. The gentle lessons on history give way to the harsh, practical realities of governance, and the principles of geometry are applied to the strict letter of law. This is where the game gets profoundly serious. It is no longer about simply learning how to swing a sword like some naive action hero in a story. You are being taught the meticulous art of war, how to strategically conquer entire enemy cities while incurring the minimum possible casualties among your own troops, and, crucially, how to lead from a distance to ensure you do not catch a stray arrow in the eye during the messy chaos of battle. The relentless grind continues until one pivotal day when your father, the mighty Pharaoh, summons a special court and drops a political announcement that sends shockwaves not just through the crowded hall, but through the entirety of Egypt. Guess what? The message quietly, firmly circulates. You've just been named heir to the throne. A moment of pure, disbelieving silence hangs in the air. Wait, what? You? Not your two older brothers, the ones who had a decade's head start? This makes zero logical, historical sense. Custom, tradition, and the entire weight of dynastic expectation dictate that it is the firstborn, or at the very least the second, who secures the royal crown, not the seemingly random third son, whose mother was not the great royal wife. So, what was the calculus here? What gave? The Pharaoh, a man of profound political cunning, knew exactly how his older sons would react to this staggering slight. He had preemptively diffused the explosion by sending them off to Thebes as high ranking priests. Yes, they were promoted to a life of mandatory, solemn chanting and ceaseless temple work. They now wore the white linen of Amun Ra instead of the gold of the royal court. It is safe to say they are not happy about this new, pious career path. If looks could kill, and you catch their murderous glares from across the courtyard on a rare visit, you would have been completely mummified and wrapped in linens already. But who cares what their resentment thinks? You are now officially next in line for the throne. For perhaps the third time in your entire life, you are summoned to stand before your father for a genuine personal audience. He calls you to his inner court, his eyes, wise and heavy with the burden of rule, slowly looking you up and down, assessing the product of his dynasty. He declares, his voice ringing with the authority of a god, that you were chosen over your brothers because of your perceived wisdom, and, more importantly, because of the will of the gods. What does this vague pronouncement really mean? Who truly knows? Perhaps a powerful priest whispered a favorable vision into his ear during a religious ceremony, Or maybe the entire royal council quietly decided that you were the least likely to immediately ignite a devastating civil war upon your succession. Either way, the cosmic dice have rolled in your favor. You are now irrevocably Egypt's next pharaoh. No pressure, right? School's officially over. Finally, no more mind numbing mathematics, no more droning lectures, no more exacting teachers scrutinizing your every stroke of the stylus. But before you get a chance to take a single deep breath and relax, your father issues his next and far more terrifying order. You are to immediately join him on a major military campaign against the powerful Nubians to the south. Oh, great, you think, the sarcastic dread immediately overriding your excitement. It's time to put all that dry, theoretical military training into actual, bloody, practical use. You depart for the southern border, feeling a deceptive sense of confidence. After all, in the quiet, climate controlled classroom, everything was so wonderfully simple. The charioteers attack from this specific angle, the archers flank from that precise position. Easy, right? Yeah. No. Your first real battle hits you with a blinding, harsh reality check. The air is thick with the metallic tang of blood and the terrified shouts of men. It turns out that war isn't merely neat, tidy lines on a papyrus map, nor elegant strategies in a scrolled treatise. It is a primal, brutal, bloody, and terrifying nightmare of confusion and pain. You barely manage to survive your very first skirmish. Worse, most of the seasoned men you were so confidently leading to cut off the Nubian retreat, soldiers you had just spoken to, are cut down and left dead on the scorched earth, just like that. And suddenly, all those authoritative textbooks you diligently studied feel like one giant, cynical scam. Humbled and haunted by the scent of death, you spend the majority of your time back at the sprawling royal palace, acting as a direct shadow to your father. You quickly realize that being Pharaoh is not simply about wearing a cool, gilded crown and receiving endless adoration. It is a suffocating, grinding 18-hour workday, a punishing schedule that begins before sunrise and lasts every single day until death. There are no scheduled breaks, no royal vacations, and definitely no concept of retirement. The only time your father gets to himself, you observe, is when he is finally sleeping. And even then, it's not truly alone time, considering the constant presence of heavily armed guards posted outside his chamber door and the watchful presence of concubines within his bed. Then comes your 21st birthday. Normally, this would be a reason for an extravagant, joyous celebration. But for a prince of Egypt, it signifies one single, inescapable obligation: marriage. And not just to anyone. No, no, you are marrying your sister. Yep, you heard that right. Your own full biological sister. Do you like her? Is there any genuine affection? It doesn't matter. Love is not required for this contract. The ultimate goal here is coldly simple: to ensure the royal bloodline remains pure, a divine lineage untainted by common ancestry. If it makes the situation feel any less awkward, you are technically free to take as many concubines and secondary wives as your desire and political necessity dictates. So, while love is entirely optional, duty is absolutely not. The wedding is an event of staggering, dizzying extravagance. It is lavish, over the top, a spectacle of wealth so profound it is difficult to comprehend. Mountains of exotic food are piled high on every table. Vintages of rich wine flow freely. Visitors from every corner of Upper and Lower Egypt pour into Tanis to witness the union. Everyone is performing a grand, careful charade, meticulously pretending that this incestuous union isn't the most politically expedient and profoundly weird thing they have ever witnessed. But, you have to admit, at least the subsequent party was an unforgettable, roaring success. Years later, the inevitable arrives. Your father, the great Pharaoh, finally joins his ancestors. He is off to the afterlife, united with the gods he served. As expected, his burial is nothing short of breathtakingly lavish and over the top. After all, he was the sole ruler of both Lower and Upper Egypt and the living, breathing representative of the gods Horus and Ra. Of course, his funeral rites are so utterly grand that the preparations alone are enough to bankrupt a small foreign kingdom. But while the legions of priests are busy with their solemn, endless chanting, and the professional mourners are letting loose their carefully choreographed wails, you have something far more critical on your mind. Your time has come. The moment the final ritual of the burial wraps up, the very next item on the royal to do list is your own coronation. There is literally no time to waste, no pause for grief or reflection. Apparently, the entire cosmic and political stability of Egypt now rests solely and completely on your untested shoulders. The ceremonies stretch on for days, endless, intricate rituals, monotonous chants, and so many offerings to the pantheon of gods that you utterly lose count. But at the end of it all, exhausted and anointed, congratulations, you are officially Pharaoh. And what is the first pressing issue you are immediately greeted with? Money problems. And just like that, the treasonous grumbling stops. You immediately replace them with terrified, loyal puppets who understand how to listen and, more importantly, how to pay on time. Problem solved. Egypt stays firmly in check. But being Pharaoh is not merely about playing kingmaker and enforcing laws. It is a state of constant, backbreaking work. You find yourself utterly drowning in an endless tide of meetings, administrative reports, and complex religious duties. You consume the rarest, finest foods, sip the richest wines imported from distant lands, and wear the kind of blinding jewelry, thick gold necklaces, bracelets studded with gems, that makes commoners' eyes literally water from a distance. But, of course, this level of extraordinary luxury comes with its own deeply irritating cost. And in your specific case, that cost is a perpetual, throbbing, daily headache. Why? The damned wig. In Egypt, wigs are not merely a matter of personal fashion. They are a profound status symbol and a marker of power. The bigger, more elaborate, and fancier the wig, the more powerful the wearer. And since you are the supreme ruler of the two lands, the living Horus, you are forced to wear the biggest, fanciest, most absurdly over the top wig in existence. It weighs a soul crushing 9 pounds of woven hair, linen, and solid gold ornamentation. Every single day, it relentlessly turns your entire skull into a persistent, throbbing nightmare. And if that weren't enough, let's not forget the multitude of thick gold chains draped across your shoulders and chest. They are so heavy, they might as well be a second job dedicated purely to carrying their weight. But you endure it because they are what make people immediately respect and fear you. Sure, it's nice to be Pharaoh, to command armies and build monuments, but there are days you would gladly switch places with the most anonymous commoner simply to feel the relief of taking off the royal regalia. The constant, crushing pressure of ruling is often unbearable. One tiny, badly calculated decision, and thousands of your people could die in a famine, a revolt, or a border war. Years go by, and with each one, you grow wiser, sharper, and strategically stronger. You have long since learned the delicate art of how to keep the powerful, greedy priests happy so that they don't subtly turn the gods, and thus the populace, against you. You know precisely which laws to pass to encourage trade and prosperity, and which ones will immediately spark revolts in the countryside. And most importantly, you've even figured out how to carve out brief moments of fun, small, decadent distractions to keep you from completely losing your mind under the crushing, gilded weight of the throne. But then, the one enemy you cannot conquer finally catches up: age. The formidable strength you once possessed is slowly, irrevocably fading. Climbing up onto your warhorse now feels like a monumental task, akin to scaling a full sized pyramid. Back pain becomes a chronic, daily battle, and you find yourself relying on more and more sophisticated herbal medicine and tinctures just to keep yourself standing upright for the long court sessions. Being Pharaoh, you reflect grimly, truly does not come with a retirement plan. Like your father before you now have a whole army of children, a dizzying collection of sons and daughters from your great wife and many concubines, all of them potential heirs. And now the generational burden falls to you to make the impossible, dynasty defining choice. You don't see them much. Their lives are as rigidly structured as yours. But that doesn't stop you from feeling a genuine, heavy love for them. After much internal debate, guided by council and priests, you choose your eldest son as your official heir. Now, in the twilight of your reign, you watch as he is forced to go through everything you once did, the struggles of the training, the immense burden of the responsibility, and the ultimately suffocating pressure of the dynastic expectation. And it is only now, seeing your own son's face etched with exhaustion and worry, that you finally truly understand why your father always looked so damned tired all the time. Then, one quiet morning, you head out of the palace in Tanis, riding to the ancient, holy city of Thebes for the annual Opet festival, accompanied by your carefully selected royal escort. It is supposed to be just another tedious day of religious rituals, a grand public procession, and a display of power meant to show the gods precisely how much Egypt loves and worships you. But then, chaos. Suddenly, with a shocking, terrifying speed, some of your very own royal guards turn against you. Blades flash in the morning sun. Terrifying screams fill the crowded festival air. And before your aging mind can even fully process the scale of the betrayal, a full blown, savage brawl erupts right in front of your royal litter. Traitors, your lifelong instincts immediately kick in. You demand a sword, and the moment the familiar, cold bronze is in your hand, pure, deadly muscle memory takes over. Age has undeniably weakened your body, making your movements slower, but it has not dulled your skill. Every desperate strike you make is precise, lethal, the hard earned result of decades of military training and battlefield survival. But there are simply too many of them. One by one, they methodically cut down your remaining loyal guards and terrified servants. And just like that, the great Pharaoh is alone on the dusty street, breathing heavy, a trickle of sweat stinging your eyes. You scan the cold, calculated, merciless faces of the rebels. You lock eyes with their leader, a man whose features you vaguely recognize as belonging to a minor branch of the royal family. Who sent you? You demand, your voice rasping, hoarse with the effort of battle. He offers a quick, chilling smirk, utterly devoid of fear. Your brothers and your uncles say we should say hello. Then, with a sickening thrust, he drives his sword straight into your chest. You feel the sudden, shocking warmth of your own blood spilling out, soaking your fine linen robes. The world immediately begins tilting and spinning as you collapse heavily onto the unforgiving stone ground. Your vision blurs into a kaleidoscope of red and black. Your life, the life of a god king, is slipping away, lying there in the dust. The final painful realization dawns on you. Your ultimate, most dangerous mistake. You had foolishly assumed that your jealous, banished brothers would not still harbor enough venom and ambition to hire assassins and want you dead after all these years. Big mistake. But regret is now useless. You close your eyes, taking a final, shuddering breath. You ruled Egypt well. You did not fail your beloved people. You did not fail your long line of great ancestors. Your father, the great Pharaoh, who made you his heir, would be proud of the legacy you built. The Egyptians will, for a time, mourn you. They will spend years and fortunes to build magnificent monuments in your honor. And as the thick, velvet darkness finally takes over, engulfing your vision, you know one thing with a certainty that transcends death. Your father and all your royal ancestors will be waiting for you to join them